Well, I want to ask you about midterm rentals and long term, and just kind of tell people a little bit about the difference and why you chose to do the one of your units midterm. I think what you're really what's coming up for me is like just how creative. If someone is listening to this, how creative can they get? And you can be creative about anything, and that's the cool piece of life. Like if you really start to think about certain things. Like I have friends that they fly first class everywhere, and they do it on credit card points, and they're because they're creative, because they're using some hacks, right? And I think some people don't want to put the time and the energy into that, and some people it's just worth paying the ticket, and that's fine. But I think just understanding that I can get anything for free if I put enough time and energy into thinking about how I can get it for free. I flew private for the first time a while ago, and like I could have spent all of my money, or I could have got a bunch of my friends together and us split it, right? And I could get a private flight for about the cost that I got a coach flight, but because I split it, it's like you can get as creative as you want with any of this stuff, even crazy, expensive items. And I think if people can start training their brain that way, they then can have more for themselves. They can have more to save and continue to build wealth like you're discussing.
Yeah, I'll give you a side note on that. I mean, I just did I do a lot of travel hacking, and I did travel to India last year, like 2 times, and we were all doing first class. And this is a complete side note. The first class flights to India cost $9,000 one way if you travel first class, and nobody flies that. It's a 4 seats in that flight. Nobody flies that. We paid $550 to fly that. So you can go extremely creative and use a lot of credit card points. And this is all because of real estate. I bought real estate. There's so much credit card points, and then you multiply and figure out how to do that. So now I don't want to travel to India without first class. It's like just so easy. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Regarding creativity, so the reason I shifted to midterm rentals was, when you're house hacking or co-living, you can have people staying there as a short-term rental, like Airbnb, VRBO stuff. Like they can come for 2-3 days. Your income is going to be high with that. You can charge a lot more, but there's more turnover. There's more management, and also the city kind of harps you down if you do that. So that's what happened with me. So I was house hacking, and I wanted to do short-term rentals on my buildings on the units next door. However, New Orleans as a city was like, no, you can't do short-term rental. You cannot do short-term rental. The other extreme is the long-term rental, where you can have a year lease, but it won't pay you as much as the short-term rental does. It's less management, less hassle, but it doesn't pay you. So for me, the goal was, how can I minimize my housing cost to zero or make some money out of that? So the in-between thing, the midterm rental, it's more creative, takes a little more work, but it's like right in between. It cash flows almost like double of a long-term tenant doesn't cash flow as much as an Airbnb. So right now we have like 8 or 9 units in midterm rentals, and we have converted a lot of long-term rentals into midterm rentals, and it's really cool. It's easy. The tenants are great, and it cash flow. It just, like you said, there's a way to become creative in anything you're doing. Like there's people, like we were talking about having no money and what to do if you have no money and you want to invest in it. You can get creative. We always have a creative financing, the sub to the seller. There's so many other things you can do. Same thing, like co-living. You can live in a room, and the eight other people or 7, or it's whatever you can do. And there's so many ways to do it. That's how you can do co-living in expensive cities. A lot of people that I talk to are like, I cannot do house hacking in New York City because it's so expensive, or in California because it's so expensive. But there are ways to do it. Co-living doesn't have a problem with city. Same thing goes for house hacking. You don't have a problem with the city. So I think people just need to get creative. I think there's so many resources out there you can learn from, like your podcast. There's so many YouTube channels out there. So I just encourage people to get creative. And I think if you put the reps, you work hard, you learn from people, you get mentors, and that's how you do it.